or Lipsync animation tutorial. So the first stage of creating this lip-sync animation is in Illustrator. Here you're going to create your visemes or your mouth shapes that we're going to use to animate. So using the template that's in the folder, you can trace over each of the 11 different mouth shapes. What I want you to do is create each one of those on their own individual layers. So what we want to have is this lovely, neat looking layers palette with every single viseme or sort of mouth shape on its own layer and beautifully labelled so we know which mouth shape it is. On one layer at the very bottom, draw your face, whatever it is that you want to put your mouths on to talk to us in our lip sync, and then lock that layer off. So that face layer is locked down there at the bottom. Then using your selection tool, with all the other layers, all the mouth layers unlocked, you can click and drag to select all of the mouth shapes. Then go to your properties panel, come down to the align section, and then you're going to select the middle one, which is horizontal align center. So we're going to move them all into the middle, and then we're going to go to the vertical align center. So now they're all going to stack on top of each other. So now we have all our mouth shapes beautifully aligned on top of each other. Whilst they're still all selected, with your selection tool, grab hold of them and move them down over your mouth, over your face, sorry, wherever you want them to go. And then if you want to change them now, scale them up, scale them down, hold your shift, go over a corner and just drag to scale them to what you're happy with, ready to animate. When you're done with that, go back to your layers, unlock the face layer, and then hit save. So Command S or File Save. Okay, this file is now ready for us to use in Animate. So just to check over, make sure your layers have 11 different mouth shapes on them, all beautifully labelled, and a layer at the bottom that is your face layer. Then we can open up Animate. So open up a new stage in Animate. This is just a full HD stage, one of the presets, and we're ready now to import that Illustrator file. So go up to File, Import, Import to Stage. That's going to bring our Illustrator file and put it straight on our timeline for us. As with a fairly simple animation, we can bring it straight onto the stage. So select that. It'll open the Finder window. Go and find your Illustrator file. There's mine, rob.ai. Select that and click Open. That'll open the import window. In here, you can select which layers you want it to import. In this case, we want it to import every single layer. So we're going to click Select All Layers. Then come down to the Convert Layers to drop-down window and just check that we've got it set, in this case, on Animate Layers. And then click Select Import. Now, whilst everything is selected, grab hold of your face and all the mouths, bring it into the center of the stage, and then go to Q or Free Transform, which is the second tool down. Hold your Shift key, scale it up if you need to, so it fills that stage nicely. If you now look down on your timeline, and if you drag your timeline up, so we can see all of the different layers that are currently there, you'll notice it has brought in our Illustrator file and put every single one of our individual layers on its own layer and in a keyframe. So go down to the bottom layer, which is your face layer, and let's lock that off. So let's click that little padlock so we can't access that layer at the moment. And go back to your selection tool, or V is your shortcut, and drag over to select all of the mouths. At the moment, all of those mouths live on one individual layer. What we want to do now is combine them all together so we can use that to do a lip sync. So with them all selected, we're going to convert them into a symbol. What a symbol is, if you can picture, it's like a box. We're going to put them all into a storage box. So we put them all in this box together, so they all live together rather than on their own little layers. So we're going to go up to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and to create an animation, a lip sync, we're going to have graphic. You can choose between movie clip, button, or graphic. We want it to be graphic. and then rename that symbol something that makes sense. In this case, let's say mouths, and click OK. So you'll now notice, if I zoom in, all our mouths are together inside this blue box, okay, with a little white circle in the middle. So we've now got all our mouth shapes inside one container. If I now look down on my timeline, you'll notice that every other layer apart from the top one is now empty. So it's taken all the keyframes off where our mouths were living and moved them all together inside this box on this top layer. So as we don't need those other layers, let's get rid of them so it looks nice and tidy in here. So click on the second layer down, which is the UH, hold your shift and then select the second to last layer, the last mouth shape. When they're all gone blue and selected, click the dustbin to delete them all. And then let's double click to change the name of that top layer to mouths. Okay, that's much neater. So if we now, using our selection tool, double click on where the mouths are, you will notice it opens up that symbol, that box that we've called mouths. And you can tell it's done it if you look at the top left-hand corner. It's telling us that we're on the scene, which is the stage, and we're now inside the mouths. Okay? And here I've got all my 11 mouth shapes all stacked up on top of each other on this one keyframe. What we now want to do is separate them all onto individual keyframes, so one after each other. So if you right click over the mouths and come down to distribute to keyframes, you will see it has moved each mouth shape onto its own keyframe. If you now grab the playhead and scrub it backwards and forwards, you can see your mouth shapes change as we move along it backwards and forwards. So we've now created this little animation that's ready for us to lip sync with. Go back up to the top left hand corner, you can click on the scene, go back to where we were. Okay, we now have our mouths, and then we now have our face locked on the bottom layer. If we click return, nothing will happen. So there we go. If I click play, nothing will happen as yet, okay, because we haven't set up the lip syncing. So now what we'll do is select the mouth shape. So select our mouths. And if you see, once you select your mouths, if you look over to the properties panel, you'll see there's a big button at the bottom that says lip syncing. If we click on that button, it will open up the lip syncing window with 12 little boxes, each one telling us which mouth shape needs to be in it. At the moment, you'll find they're all the same mouth shape. So if I click on the first one that says neutral, it opens up and gives me the choice of all the mouth shapes I've got here I can use. So our neutral will be the same as the M, it will be the flat one. Then we'll just go through selecting each one in order. If you've not got them in order, just look at your template and line up the F with the F, the L with the L, the M with the M as you work your way through. Okay, so now my lip syncing is all set up. Okay, all the letters are in the right place and they're ready to sync with the audio file. The second step in here is to sync with the audio layer. So at the moment we haven't got an audio layer in here. So click done and we're all ready now just to bring in our audio layer. So go up to File, Import, no, before you do that, sorry, stick on a new layer, which you're going to call Audio. And then go File, Import to Stage again. Go and find your audio file, which in this case is my one is Dartsoff AIF. Select that and open that file. Now currently inside that first little keyframe you'll be able to see probably a little small orange line. That is the audio wave. So I'm going to come up to about 100 frames and I'm going to click F5, which will put in a whole load of blank frames for me. And there you can now see my audio file. So either keep increasing the amount of frames until you get to the end of the orange line, or in this case, I might delete those extra frames by just shift clicking and then going remove frames. You will notice while I'm up here though, I'm 96 frames, that I have no mouths or face anymore. It's because there are, you can look below, there's no frames anywhere. There's only one frame with a keyframe. So select the layer below, click F5 to bring some frames on, and do the same with the last layer. Now everything is where you want it. We have an audio file. We have the mouth shapes all set up, ready to go. And we have the face there on its own layer. If I scrub it all the way back to the beginning, and if I pressed play.
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
The mouths are moving, which is great, and the sound is there, but they're not synced together at this stage. So it's just rolling its way through those 11 things constantly. So finally, if you select the mouths, go back to the lip syncing button, open that again, you'll see now in that second box, sync with audio in layer, it's found our audio file. This time when we click done, you'll see it's creating the lip sync. It's now lined up each of our mouth shapes, our mouth sounds, with where it hears them within the audio. So if you now look at my mouth timeline, you can see it's put all the different, it's moved it around for all the different letters. Okay. So now if I press play.
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
It has now synced to our sound.
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
So, whilst we've got that, if you select the audio layer and come across here onto the properties panels in the sound, okay, it says sync at the moment to event. If we change that to stream, which we need it to be on, if I now scrub my timeline,
Dance off, bro.
Okay, I can scrub through to hear the sound, which is how we would do it if we were going to manually edit. Manually going to edit where those mouth shapes are. It's also important that we've got it set to stream when we export it. Otherwise, if we don't export it with stream, we won't hear the sound as our MP4. So that's it all created. Save that file, so Command S, it will save as a .fla, which is a flash file. Put that somewhere where you want to, where you know where it is. So there we go. I'm just going to call it Rob again. Hit save. Let's save the flash file. Finally, we now want to export this as an MP4 so we can play it. So we're going to go to File, Export, and come down to Video Media. Select that, and that'll open our Export Media window. We wanted to do the entire movie, so that's fine. We can leave everything else as it is. Just checking the output, it's going where you want it to go. And then make sure you select this Start Adobe Media Encoder. Okay, check that box and then click Export. And you are then done. That will have exported your MP4 for you. And that's the end of that tutorial. Thank you.